I'm Kath, and this is the Mindful Melbourne Maker podcast channel. This is my YouTube channel where I share all about my making, and I usually pop up podcast episodes where I go through my whips and my finished objects. You can find me on Ravelry as kathsmartin, and you can also find me on Instagram as Mindful Melbourne Maker. I thought I'd put together a few short videos over this very fun and exciting mystery knit along season, where I'm knitting along to the Westknits mystery knit along, or MKAL shawl, which is the Go-Go Dynamo shawl. So I thought it would be fun each week to do a bit of a recap of where I'm up to in each clue, and also do a little bit of a look back on the other mystery knit along or MKAL shawls that I've knit of Stephen West's. So this week it's clue 1, and I've finished knitting it, ready for the next clue to come out today. So I thought that we could have a look at that and have a look at my progress. But first I wanted to go back to the very first mystery knit along shawl of Stephen West that I knit, which was the Twists and Turns shawl. So this was actually my first Westknits knit along or mystery knit along. And so there was a lot of talk. People, it was quite an interesting one. People were very divided about clue 1, which was a lot of knitting, and there was a lot of techniques and things in there. And I think some people loved it, some people hated it. It was my first one, so I had nothing to compare it to, and I really, really enjoyed the experience. I learnt an amazing amount from that first knit along. It was really, really fun. I managed to sort of keep up relatively well with the knitting, and it produced a really, really great shawl. So I had a lot of fun with that one, and it is a really fun and striking shawl. So I'll show it to you now, and then we'll go through the details. So here is my twists and turns. So it's there. And so as I've mentioned in my podcast episodes before, when I do Westknits mystery knit alongs, I always pick a theme. And so this was my first year, and I thought if I pick a theme, that will make picking my colours a little bit easier. So I watched Stephen's videos, and he said, well, you need 3 colours. And so at the time we were watching House of Dragon, which I think season 1 was out when this shawl was being knit, and we are big Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon fans. And I really, really loved that show, and I thought, well, there's a really great theme. The Targaryen sort of colours are very striking, of red and black, and this sort of the white of their hair. And I thought that would make a really fun theme. So I'll pop a few photos here of the theme and the inspiration pictures that I put together. And I went off to my local yarn store, MakerMaker, and picked out some absolutely beautiful yarn from Prosper Yarns. And so this yarn was in their base Prosper sock, and it's in just an absolutely beautiful set of colours. This sort of white colour here, or it's more of a sort of beige colour, is sand, and then these 2 colours, the black, or it's a sort of a deep charcoal, is called Rubber Soul. And then this really striking red colour, which you can see in that bit there, is called Not Old Lady Red, which I thought was very funny. And this yarn was absolutely beautiful to work with. It's very round. It was great for the cables, which worked out really well because those cables were really fun to knit. And the yarn was just absolutely beautiful to work with. It's held up really, really well. There's no pilling. It doesn't stretch a lot. It's really, really good, and it was really good to work with. The other yarn that I used as a bit of a feature was this yarn here, which you can see in the little embellishments in the cables. That's actually a different yarn that I had to hand, and that is Owl of Athena. I don't know the colorway because I think it was in a mini, but it looked like it suited the colorways, and I just wanted to add in that little bit of variegation in those embellishments. So I knit this on a 3.5mm needle, which is what was recommended in the pattern, but this shawl is how I discovered that I'm actually a tighter knitter than Stephen West, because the shawl is a lot smaller than some of my friends who knit it, and they are continental knitters and their shawl is quite big, and it's also a lot more dense. It's nice and I love wearing it, but it does mean it's good for colder weather because it does keep in the warmth, and the dense nature of it did help with the sort of stitch texture here and with the cables. So it all worked out nicely, but it was this shawl that made me realize that for Stephen West shawls I really need to go up a needle size. So I generally do that as a rule now. But this was a lot of fun. So this section here, as everybody knows, this sort of braided section was clue 1, and it was a slog. It's where I came to realize that I don't like binding off and casting on a million times in the middle of a project, but that's okay because the effect of the braids is just spectacular. But it was a lot of knitting in that first clue. But then after that, it was really fun, and these sections were really easy to breeze through. The cables were a lot of fun, and I just love the little added embellishments, which I always choose to do because they're just a lot of fun with the I-cord through the cables. And I did the bigger size, so I know some people thought that this additional bit at the bottom made it look a bit like teeth, or it's a bit of a weird shape, but actually because my theme was House of the Dragon, I thought it actually turned out and looks strikingly similar to a dragon's wing and their claws and all of that. So I thought the theme really nicely, all by accident, matched up with the shawl design and the yarn, and everything just worked out. So this was my twists and turns, and it took me 5 weeks, so it was just less than 5 weeks. So I kept up with all the clues, and that last clue just took me a few days longer, so it took me through to that 5th week. But yeah, it was a really enjoyable experience, and it cemented to me that the process of the MKALs is just really enjoyable because you are knitting along with the community, you're sharing your progress. Where you're having trouble, you can get help along the way, and you just learn an enormous amount in that process of different techniques and different ways to fix problems, all that kind of thing. So yeah, so that is my twists and turns. So that's the previous mystery knit along shawl that I wanted to show you this week. And now let's dive into my Go Dynamo shawl clue 1. So by the time you see this, clue 2 should have just come out, so there shouldn't be any spoilers. But I am holding this in my crystal Cat Stitchery corduroy bag because it's a perfect size, and I now generally use it for the MKAL every year. And just as a reminder, my theme for the shawl for this year is Rings of Power. So that sort of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power theme. Teals and silvers and whites, and sort of a very elven kind of look. And the yarn that I'm using for it is from Hodgepodge Skeins. So it's these 2 colours here. And so that colour there is Tealriffic. And then this colour is a sort of variegated white and silver, and it's called White Gold. There we go. So yeah, so those two colours together. So we needed 2 skeins of each colour. And where I got to with my clue 1, I finished with 2 days to spare. I didn't need to rush or anything. just took my time with it. But here it is here, and it's knitted up really, really well. You'll see that I have relatively matching notions and accessories. So I got these little needle toppers from Ash and Eve Designs, and I have lovely little teal dinosaur stitch markers all the way along, and those are from Mavis Handmade, and they just happen to perfectly match the teal yarn. But this was really, really fun clue. So you'll see there's 3 of these semicircles all the way along, and those were actually knit separately. So the start of the shawl was to knit these 3 semicircles separately and then pop them on waste yarn, or I actually popped them on these stitch noodles from 1121 Windmills. There we go. So yes, so I put my semicircles on these stitch noodles from 1121 Windmills, and that was very effective because you needed quite a few of them. So knitted up these 3 semicircles, and then you had to join the semicircles. So you had to do these little garter stripe sections. So the first one was on the end where you were just joining it to one semicircle, and then you had to join the next semicircle by doing a garter stripe section that picked up stitches on either side of each of the semicircles, and you had to do that another time here. So you've got another garter stripe section there, and then you had to knit another garter stripe section just on the end, so you were just picking up along one side of one of the semicircles. Now it sounds a lot more complicated. It was actually very straightforward, and Stephen West does excellent videos with all of his clues, shows you absolutely every stitch, every line, so it's very easy to follow along. And so once we had all those little sections done, then we were able to put all of the stitches onto one needle, which was a relief. That was my favorite part, to be able to get all the stitches on, which in clue 1, there's actually quite a lot of stitches on the needles, more than 300 I think now, which is really, it's an unusual first clue, so I'm really interested to see where it goes from here. And then we had, along the top, we had this really fun bubble section. So we did the bubble technique, which he's got in a few of his other patterns. And what I did was I actually held, which is going to be impossible to show because it's not gonna show up very well, but I actually held this silver thread with the, so you can kind of see the sparkles there, and I got this from MakerMaker as well. And I held this silver thread with the contrast color, which for me the contrast color is the white, or the white grey. So I held that silver thread in the bubble section, so it kind of gives it in person it gives it a bit of a shimmer, and I was hoping to do that to sort of throughout the shawl replicate the kind of elven chainmail feeling in the theme. But alas, it doesn't photograph very well and it doesn't show up in videos, but in person it's lovely and sparkly, which is really nice. So so that's it. So that's clue 1. So clue 2 is out tonight, and I'm keen to get started on that. We do have a really fun group chat on Instagram for the Mystery Knit Along, and if you're knitting along on the shawl and you'd like to be added, just send me a message over on Instagram and I'll add you to the chat group, because it's a really fun group. There's a good number of people in there. We're all chatting away, helping each other, encouraging each other. We helped each other pick out some colours at the start, and just in giving encouragement, because there's lots of people in there that are either really fast or taking it at their own pace, and so everyone can kind of just feel like they're in a bit of a supported group while they're knitting along, which is really fun as well. So yeah, let me know if you'd like to join that group. But yeah, that's where we're going, and there's a lot of speculation in our group about what's going to happen next, because we think, well, the stitches are on the needle here, so it makes sense that it would grow in that direction. But we also note Steve and West shawls tend to have I-cord edges everywhere, and while there's I-cords on the edges here, there is not an I-cord across the bottom of the shawl at all, across where we started those circles. And so there's some speculation about what might be happening down there. So we'll have to wait and see for the next clue to come out. But that's where we're at the moment. So yeah, so I'll update you each week on my progress, and next week I'll show you one of my old mystery knit along shawls, and hopefully you are enjoying knitting along, or keeping up with what others are knitting along in the mystery knit along. And thanks very much for watching, and if you liked this video, don't forget to give me a bit of a like. Hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see future videos as well. But thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.